listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
All right, what's up, and welcome along to the Straight to Video podcast. After doing this show for what is coming close to a year now, one of the coolest, let's say, rewards from this is getting to learn all about new musicians and people from the movie industry and get the chance to speak to them and hear their stories, something that I perhaps wouldn't have had the chance to do before. I'll speak to one person, then someone will say, hey, you should chat to this person, they'd be perfect for the show, so it opens up all these cool little doors. Today's guest is a great example of that as I speak to singer-songwriter Cindy Alter. Cindy has sold over, now get this, 12 million records all over the world, a global #1 smash hit single in 10 countries, and a #2 hit here in the UK during the 1970s. The song was Substitute by one of the original all-girl groups Clout. Check it out, you do know this song. This chat was a lot of fun, and Cindy has been on an incredible journey, and it was great to learn all about her early musical beginnings in South Africa, joining Clout and heading out on tour and doing TV shows with the likes, now get this, KISS, Van Halen, The Police, Thin Lizzy, which must have been insane. Now, like a lot of musicians who have had long careers, Cindy is no stranger to the ups and downs of the music industry, which we learn about, along with her biggest challenge, battling leukemia in the early 2000s. Today, though, she continues to write and record, and it was just great to see how much love and passion she still has for music to this day, and is more than happy to share her journey with us on this show. Before we dive into the chat, please head on over and show some support to our friends Dead Skull Coffee, who have been so great to this podcast and are offering you listeners 15% off their ground and full bean coffee. This is some of the best coffee out there, and you can feel good that you're supporting a brilliant independent rock and roll business. Simply visit their online store at deadskullcoffee.co.uk, grab some coffee of your choice and add the promo code STV on checkout to grab that sweet discount. So back to our chat with Cindy Alter. Hope you enjoy this, as Cindy was a lot of fun, and for more information on her amazing career and new music, it can all be found at simply cindyalter.com. Thanks to all of you for continuing to listen and supporting the Straight to Video podcast. It's super cool of you, and please enjoy this chat as I speak to singer-songwriter Cindy Alter.
Some things work. 1 minute you're high, and then you're kicking dirt. I don't understand the way we break hearts. 1 minute it's paradise, the next it's hurt. Tell me what's the cost? What's it worth? Ain't no middle ground. It's a hit or a miss. Ain't no winners and losers. It is what it is. Sometimes it ain't no thing. It's just a hole in a ring. It's a pretty crazy time growing up in the 50s, 60s in South Africa. We were oblivious that there was anything going on politically, but there was things going on politically, you know. Also, being a musician, musicians didn't see color, you know. So we just barreled on and kept doing our thing. And I just started joining bands and playing in little coffee bars and wherever I could start. And that's kind of how I started.
Your mum was a classically trained piano player, right?
Yes, she was. So she was trying so desperately to train me.
She had plans for you. She had the foresight.
Yes, she did. She really did. And I just didn't want to know. I don't know why.
Was that because you was into different styles of music?
You know what? I think also, I didn't want to learn to read. I could just play by heart and feel. And then learning how to read something was like, oh, that's like hard work,
This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's supposed to be fun. So I must say I was not a good pupil. Even in school, I wasn't a good pupil.
Did you just find you had a good ear for melody and you was able to pick out different parts of song? You kind of understood it that way.
That was exactly what it was. Even from when I was a little baby, like we'd be in the car and the radio would be playing. And then I would start humming a tune and Mama would say, how does she know the song? It's on the radio. It's never been played anywhere. And I would just pick it up. And she knew from early that I had an ear for music. And it kind of grew from there.
So was it guitar which you gravitated to first? Or did you try the piano?
I tried the piano. I wish now that I had. You know how you do after the fact? You always go, oh, I wish I'd done that. But yeah, my mom had a guitar. She was learning flamenco. I just saw this thing and it was standing in the corner and calling my name. Come on, little girl. Come here. I've got sweeties for you. And I just gravitated towards. I was 10 years old and I started playing around with this. And then she got me a chord book. So at least I could start working out chords and know kind of what I was doing, because I really didn't know what I was doing.
The kind of thing where it just shows you where to put your fingers to figure
Exactly.
out.
So like A, D, E, F, G, etc. And then the rest I had to learn along the way. Once I got chords, I would learn a song from a record. And in those days, we would have little tape recorders, literally cassettes. You would tape it off the radio and then you'd be able to listen to it and then stop, get your chords right, get your words, and then play it a little bit further and then stop it. It's quite archaic.
That's what I still do now, but it's with a computer mouse. It's still exactly the same thing.
I think we do, it's kind of just the way we've done it. Like I did it on YouTube if I'm learning a song. Pause it, write the words out.
How many 13-year-old boys or girls have you learnt songs from? It makes me feel about this big when I'm learning from all these kids on all these favourite songs. In the last 5 years or so, I've been learning from like teenagers when I've been trying to figure a song out. Oh, that's how it goes.
Yeah, they're pretty smart, the teenagers of now, because they have so much at their fingertips. We didn't have that. We didn't have any tools, we had to learn from a tape recorder or from listening to the radio. In South Africa, we only got television in 1974 or something, or 76, literally.
How big a deal was that?
That was huge. We used to just sit and watch the test pattern, like until it was going to start. We knew it was going to start eventually, but we'd sit for an hour and just watch the test pattern because we knew it was going to go bing, and then suddenly, oh, it's starting. Mommy, come. Then it's going to start.
So do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have a brother and a sister, both younger than me. None of them pursued music, but we were all musical, surprisingly. My sister played guitar a bit and sang, and we'd have like Sunday afternoons when Mum would just start playing the piano. My dad would play mouth organ or a ukulele, and then my brother would put in a little bongo drum that he had, and he would plonk on that, and my sister would jump around and sing and dance. So we used to have little family days, and it was kind of cool. That's how I grew up.
What was the kind of music which you gravitated to? I normally say to people, what was the music which you considered yours?
I was listening to Cat Stevens, James Taylor, Uriah Heep, Deep Purple, Carole King. I had quite a diverse mosaic of music in my life.
Was that readily available? Was it on the radio?
Yes, it was on the radio, and then LPs, vinyl. And the first LP I ever got was Let It Be by the Beatles. And that also changed my life. It's like, wow, commercial songs, so clever. And I think that's also where my songwriting desires started, because these people used to write their own songs. So it was like, wow. And then Elton John, what a songwriter. And him and Bernie, used to create these masterpieces. T-Rex, God.
There's certain musicians which they write hit pop songs, but it's a beautiful piece of music. People like Elton John and Queen, and it's not just chords on a guitar. It's just an amazing piece of music.
It was creation,
What did your friends think of it? Because if you picked the guitar up at 10, did your friends at school think it was cool, or was it unusual?
Yeah, they did. that was sort of an attraction for people because, hey, Cindy plays guitar, plays a song, or we're at a party, let's play. My grandmother, since I was a kid, was like, come and sing for us, come and sing for us.
Showing you
You
off.
know, of course, I was like a performing monkey from when I was very small, which was interesting. But hey, I survived it.
You're a fan of like your James Taylors and stuff and Cat Stevens, but you also like the really rocky edge of music as well. And you actually joined a rock band at school.
Well, the drummer was at my school. He was a bit older. He was in final year, and I was doing the year before. I don't know what they call it here. It was like our matric year or whatever it was. Okay, so he was in the band, and he'd heard me sing at school concerts and stuff, and he said, hey, my band is looking for a singer. And I'm like, okay. And I went and auditioned. And they didn't want like a full-on lead singer. They had a guy who was the lead singer, but I was going to be a backing singer. And there was very good training for me because learning to be a singer is one thing, or being a singer. But if you don't know how to sing harmonies.
That's where all that came into play, I guess.
Yeah. Harmonies are very important, and to sing with other people. You see, also a lot of kids today, they are so cellular. They've composed it on their computer. They're sitting in their room playing it, but they're not relating to any other musicians. And when they start playing with other musicians, it's hard to get it all together.
How did you find being on stage for the first time with that band? Was it like nothing else you'd ever done?
I took to it like a duck to water. I felt like it was my natural habitat. I mean, I didn't run around and I wasn't extremely lively at the time. I was just playing tambourine and singing backups and, talking to the guys on stage. And I think I was just getting the hang of what it felt like, but this is natural to me.
How long did that band last? Was you together quite a while?
It was probably about a year. We used to have socials, like people come and pay to get in at some rec hall or somebody, some kind of scout hall or something like that. And everybody would pay to come and see the band. And we do that, and we do some school dances. But, there was a lot of guys in the band. They were all very good looking boys. They were all in varsity already, except for the drummer who was still at school. So I kind of got a hint of what it felt like to hang with the boys, and ever since then I've played in bands mostly with boys except for Clout.
From there you got a job at a recording studio, right?
Yes. So I finished school and I was very lucky. Somebody had heard about me and they said, hey, do you want to work at this record company? I'm like, of course. Damn right I do. And so off I went. And I worked for this guy, Johnny Gibson. He was wonderful. Firstly, he was an artist as well. He'd had a lot of hits. Him and his sister did a lot of shows together and stuff. And he had a recording studio.
What was your actual job there?
I was going to be secretary because I could type. And I was very organized. So I would do all the filing. And I would greet everybody that came in. And I was generally a sort of Girl Friday.
And how did that kind of lead to like, right, I can actually sing. Let me show you what I can do.
Well, he'd heard that I could sing. Like somebody mentioned him, this girl's got a great voice. And he put me in the studio for the first time. And from then on, it moved quite fast because there was a man called Eddie Calvert. He was a trumpet player. And he had a very famous song many years ago called Oh Mine Papa. It was like kind of weirdish classical kind of thing. And he said he wanted to re-record the song, do a fresh version. And he asked me if I'd sing it on his single, which I did. And then somebody was saying, hey, we're looking for somebody to open for our band. He was a country artist. The guy I was working for said, hey, this girl's got a good voice and she's got quite a nice repertoire. And then it just moved from there. Then somebody else heard that I could sing and then put me on their tour. So I started off as an opening act.
That's amazing. It's crazy how all those little pieces fell into place in a way.
Yeah. And then the piece that fell was coming out of a tour when I joined the girls from Clout. I got a phone call. Somebody said, hi, somebody told me you can sing and play guitar, and we are putting together an all-girl band. Do you want to audition? I said, okay. And I went and auditioned, and there was 3 girls there. They'd all been playing for years. And I was like, wow, they're like real musicians, They said, okay, you can be in the band. I said, all right, cool, but I'm going on tour just for 2 weeks. And then the girl said, oh, well, no, we're starting to rehearse now. You can't be in the band. So, sorry, you can't. I said, oh, okay, thank you very much. And I started walking away. And she said, well, can we borrow your microphone? I said, don't be ridiculous. I said, if I can be in the band, you can borrow my microphone. Oh, all right, you can be in the band.
Was there already kind of like record labels involved or like a manager?
Not yet. But the girl that sort of started the band, her band before that was signed to a manager, and he would have been interested. And she said, I've got a manager that might be interested already, you know. And our manager then became our record company, our manager, our everything.
Did it feel like things were going on to the next level from that point?
Oh, yes. I mean, big time. And from the moment we recorded Substitute and went to number one everywhere, it was like, oh my God, this is it.
How familiar was you with the original version? Because I didn't realize it was a Righteous Brothers song.
They played it for me, and it was a soul song.
It's very slow, isn't it, compared to yours?
You've been waiting. You know how they sing, like, and so cool. And I was like, you want me to sing this? And he said, no, we're going to do it differently. And then he got the band, a bunch of guys who were in another band, to do a demo. And then we came in, and I came in and sang on top of that. And it was like one or two takes, and that was it. That was the song.
Did it feel like a hit song when you sang on it? Some people say they can't tell.
I don't think anybody can really tell, because you can walk away saying that is a hit song and it doesn't happen. But I had no expectations. I went in there just saying, I'm going to sing the song with all my heart and soul and see what happens. And within like a week of it being released, it was charting everywhere. And then Mid-Am happened, and then they took it to Mid-Am, and it got sold, licensed to everyone. And within, I think it was like about a month or two, we were touring in Europe.
That's crazy. Was there like a specific radio station that broke it?
We only had one radio station here in South Africa. And then in Europe, it was all the radio stations. They just all grabbed it. I mean, we went to number 2 in the UK, Top the Pops.
Because didn't I read one of your first tours with Clout? It was actually a TV tour rather than like an actual specific tour.
In fact, our first 2 tours were TV tours.
Now, you did some stuff alongside some amazing bands, which I've read of KISS, Van Halen, Thin Lizzy. What can you share about that? Because that's unreal.
Oh, man, we had the best times. So firstly, in those days, if you had a number 1 single, you do these TV shows. And it was like Musikladen, disco, top pop in Holland, top of the pops in UK. So we'd arrive at the studio, and in the dressing room next door was Gloria Gaynor, and then the next dressing room was the Police, and then the next dressing room was KISS, and then the next dressing room was Thin Lizzy, and then there was Supertramp and Van Halen, and we were all there.
All doing the same shows.
All in the same show. So there would be about 10, maybe 15 artists per show. The show would run, I don't know how they edited it. Can't remember if it was like an hour or 2-hour show. It was live. We had to mime. Everybody mimed. But it was a live show. There was a live audience. And boy, they used to clap, and the whole thing used to take off. And then we'd go and party afterwards.
So you all got to know each other because you'd see each other at all these different shows.
Yeah, we got to meet everybody and go to their shows. So the one year, the Police were touring, and the guy that was touring us was the same promoter, and he got us tickets for the show. Thin Lizzy was pretty special because me and Phil Lynott like kind of hooked up, and we hung out for a few days together and just had some fun and some naughty fun. But he's a special guy, and then we didn't see each other for a long time, and then he died.
Have you crossed paths with anybody else? You never crossed paths with Gene Simmons since, or David Lee Roth, or anyone like that?
I crossed paths with Sting twice. Who else? Oh, the girls from Pussycat. That was, what was it? Mississippi, I remember you. It was a big hit in Europe. And I did like a what do they call it, a heritage show with a whole bunch of older artists about 3 or 4 years ago in Belgium. And I saw a lot of these guys like Johnny Halliday and Boney M. And it was crazy just to see them again. They were all like, oh my God, we haven't seen each other for so long.
Did you actually come to the UK when Substitute was a hit? Because I was looking into it, and I don't think you did Top of the Pops. They used your Top Pop appearance.
Well, because political reasons. We were not allowed to play anything because of the British Union. South Africans are banned. But we were there quite a bit. We did a lot of interviews, Melody Maker and all those, papers, those music papers. a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of promo stuff. Our manager wanted us to move to the UK. He thought it'd be so great if we were the base there and then traveling in Germany and stuff.
Was that a big deal for you, like being like a Beatles fan? And
Yeah, I mean, I've always been split. I can't say American musicians are best or English musicians because I've had amazing English pop and rock and everything and amazing American stuff. So I love both.
you're in the category of massive number 2 hits in the UK being held off the top spot by these equally massive songs. It's ever so weird. There's like, seems to be like 2 massive songs, or it's either the number 2 is a massive song and the number 1's some cheesy novelty song, which has just held it off for some bizarre reason.
It did, held it off. It was that novelty song from Greece, yeah.
Still a massive song though.
It is still. I mean, to be a number 2 in the UK, I don't think any South African act's ever done that.
If I'm right, Clout disbanded over management issues and contract stuff. Was that kind of the only option for the band for you all to like move forward with your careers, to like split up?
Everybody was we were so battered, we were really battered by then. We had no money. We'd sold 10 million records. We had nothing. We'd just broken into the Billboard Top 100 in America. We just signed a deal with Capitol Records. Our manager lost interest because he just didn't want to work harder. And all he had to do was say, listen, let's do another contract. Let's recontract. Let's see if we can get you some money. Let's do this thing, because this band could have still been going today.
From there, you formed Syndicate?
Yes.
That's one of the best plays on words for a band ever.
It's kind of cool, eh? Because the band was like, oh, what are we going to call the band? I said, why don't we call it Syndicate, man? I thought I was quite clever.
And that got interest from Kim Fowley, the Runaways manager. I have no idea what that band sounded like. Was it more in a rock band mold like the Runaways?
It was definitely rock band. It wasn't quite Runaways. I didn't ever think that the Runaways had great songs, to be honest. I was writing most of the songs. They were just straight ahead sort of chug-along rock songs. And I went to record with him. I went to the States.
Was that your first time to the States?
Yes. And he picked me up in a limousine. I was like, wow.
I did it.
Driving into Hollywood in a limousine, baby. We made it. I'm in America. Yeah, he didn't quite get my picture and I didn't quite get his. So it didn't really happen. I came back. I was going to ask a record company if they'd be interested in bringing him over to produce the album. There were no bites.
And that band became the Cindy Alta Band and later Zia.
Yes.
Success continued on with stuff like opening for the Bee Gees. And
that was amazing. That was very special. Firstly, to meet them, because they're also definitely one of my greatest songwriting heroes and bands. And they were just fantastic guys.
Did you just do the one show opening for them? Because she was offered a world tour after.
A huge sports venue in Paris called Bercy. It's like a sports stadium. I mean, it was packed to the rafters. I don't know, maybe 40,000, 50,000 people or something. I don't know. But it was fantastic. And they were watching us, and I didn't know that. If I'd known they were watching, I think I would have had a heart attack. They were standing on the side of the stage watching us. And the drummer said to me afterwards, they've been watching us. I'm like, thank God you didn't tell me before.
You was offered a world tour, right? But the record label wouldn't support it.
I felt like I'd been bashed around again.
There's just no logic to that.
No, there's no logic.
Which must have been one of the biggest world tours of the time.
It could have been, absolutely. For us, especially, as the band Zia, we would have sold millions of records.
Because that was at a time when if you got an opening slot with a big band, people used to take notice in those days. It wasn't like a buy-on or anything like that.
No, not like now. So, yeah, it was very disappointing. And I thought, okay, forget it. I'm done. I'm done with small-mindedness.
Who was they prioritising at that time to turn down an opportunity like that?
They had a lot of black acts at the time. And we were a mixed band anyway. I don't know what their logic was. I couldn't see logic. If the Bee Gees came and said to you, we want to tour with you, we want to take you on our world tour, how do you say no to that? Who says no to that? Bloody idiot.
But it was from there you decided to make the jump and move to America. And this is 1990, right? 33 years old. Was that daunting for you? Did it feel like you was totally starting all over again?
I loved it. It was a fresh slate. Nobody was saying, oh, you're Cindy from Clout or Cindy from Zia or Cindy from this. I was just Cindy Alta. Nobody knew who I was. A few people knew of the band or whatever, but I didn't even speak about that. I just came in as Cindy Alta, singer-songwriter, Put a band together within like 2 weeks. I got a job in a month. And then I was like, okay, I'm staying.
And this is on the West Coast.
Yes, I was in California, Los Angeles.
Was American music and Western music something you always had a love and passion for, or was there other things as well, such as TV and movies? Were they an attraction?
You know what? Not really, even though I studied drama from when I was a kid. So I was actually an actress and a drama student for many, many years. But it was never my first love, I must be honest. The thing about America is I used to think of the wide open spaces and the, cowboys. I had a thing for cowboys. I just loved the whole Western thing, cowboys and shooting them up and, doing all crazy stuff like this. I don't know what it was. I think it was a freedom. I've always desired freedom. So I think the thought of America and cowboys and Indians and riding horses, it's like, wow.
Did you know anybody out there?
I knew 3 people. The guy I was staying with, I knew, but I hardly knew him. I'd only met him once. And he was a cool guy. He said, no funny business, come stay with me, cool. Then there was Trevor Rabin, who's very well known. Trevor had said to me, hey, when you get there, come, let's write some songs together. And then a friend of my sister's. And that was that. And then some other friend said, oh, so-and-so's here. And I was like, oh, cool. And I've got their number. And I swear within like 3 months, I had a whole thing going on. I was meant to be there.
What was it kind of like in America around that time? That's just before, a couple of years before the music scene flipped on its head.
There was all the big majors were merging, whereas before there was 40 fantastic big record companies. Now there were 5. And then slowly the Melissa Etheridge and Sheryl Crow thing was coming out. And then the grunge thing happened, Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam and Nirvana and all that stuff. So music was going through such a metamorphosis.
Where was you positioning yourself in all that? Because it's quite an exciting time, really, looking back on it.
I thought it was great. And I was Singer Songwriter for sure. I kept my band, so I'd use it when I needed a band. But the rest of the time I was just doing solo gigs. And I started booking gigs for other people. So I would go and find a nice, cool place and say, hey, can I put on a show? I've got 3 songwriters. We'll do a show here. Sure. And we played for tips.
You didn't book anybody who went on to be massive years later?
No, I didn't. I didn't book anybody who went on to be very massive. I did play with some very big people who were well known and stuff. And I did some really good shows as well. I played with Sophie B. Hawkins and I recorded a song with her and Kenny Loggins and Olivia Newton-John. And I did this amazing series, a music series at Libero Theatre in Santa Barbara. There was this music series called Sings Like Hell. And they were having all the unknowns. I'm talking about the songwriters that people don't even think about. John Hyatt and Richard Thompson and Gillian Welch and Nickel Creek and the Gypsy Kings even, and all these amazing, amazing artists. And I got to play on one of those shows. So I had some really big, beautiful ones. And the rest of the time was just day-to-day, surviving, playing, writing.
Was your songwriting developing and changing?
Yeah, it was, because I started writing differently, started going to Nashville a bit.
That's always been a music town, but perhaps not on the scale that it is today.
Big time.
'Cause didn't you play the Bluebird Cafe, which is such a legendary place?
I did. Yeah, I was so lucky.
Isn't it quite hard to get a slot there because it's so small?
Yeah, very hard. And I did everything myself. I used to send out emails and, hi, I'm coming to Nashville. Have you got a slot for me? And call people and talk to people and la, la, la. I was always at it. It was a full-time job.
It was around this time you found out you had leukemia. How was that, being in another country, building a new career? How do you move forward to this new unexpected challenge, unlike anything else?
Well, I was just about to move to Nashville. I'd spoken to my husband. I said, look, I'm going to move to Nashville for 3 months because there was somebody at ASCAP that was interested in my songs. And I said, listen, let me give it a shot. If they bite and something happens, would you move? And he's like, cool, yeah, I'll move. So that was my plan. And I started getting sick and I don't know what it was. We thought it was a tooth thing and then this and then that and blah, blah. And then we figured out what it was. The doctors figured it out. And I think it was the hand of God or something huge that just said, stop. You can't go anywhere and do anything. Stop. And that was weird. I had a very good support system in America. I was married at the time. My sister was there with my little niece who'd just been born. I had good friends. I had a good little community around me. But the thing about cancer is nobody can fight it for you. You're alone in it. You fight it. Your husband can be with you, your children, your friends, everyone can come and like, how are you? And are you okay? No, 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 no. It means a lot. It doesn't mean nothing, but it doesn't really help you fight what you've got to fight. It's a solo journey.
Did you return to South Africa for further treatment?
I stayed in America. I did all my treatments in America. They were experimenting with stem cells. They couldn't find a donor for me, so they used my own stem cells, which was very experimental. I had the treatment done in a beautiful facility called City of Hope, which only do cancer and AIDS research and stuff. And they looked after me. They kicked my butt. There was only like one time when I thought I was going to die, and that was when after my transplant, I thought, this is it. I've got nothing else. I've got nothing to give. Finished, depleted. And after that, I thought, okay, how am I going to recover? Because I know if I'm staying right here, I want to get back into playing again, and I want to start doing this, and then I've got to get a job. And I thought to myself, no, don't do this to yourself. You're not going to get well. And I decided to come back to South Africa.
You've been cancer-free for almost 20 years now, is that right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
18 years. I'm clean.
Awesome stuff.
It is awesome.
And that led to a Clout reunion as well in the early 2000s.
I did. We did a couple. We did one when I got back there. And then again in 2018, we did another one because it was the 40-year anniversary of Substitute.
And now you've got a new album, Last One Standing.
Yeah.
The passion for music is obviously still there to this day.
Without a doubt.
Is it writing and recording, performance, or is there just a combination of everything?
Everything. I love performing. I'm getting to pick and choose more what I like to do. I love writing still. I've got, tons of stuff under the belt just waiting to come out. And I love recording. I'm a musician. This is my life. This is my passion. It's who I was meant to be. And it chose me and it took me on its ride, and I'm still here.
And Glastonbury's still on the bucket list, right?
Oh my God. The day I can play Glastonbury.
Put it out there. Put it out there.
I've put it out there, okay? If I could do a set at Glastonbury, wow.
That's the one. Tick that one off.
That's on the bucket list.
Yeah, well, put it out there. Put it out there into the world. What you put out comes back eventually.
I believe. Thank you for that.
Well, Cindy, it's been lovely to speak to you. I appreciate all the stories and good luck with the new music.
Thank you for your time and your interest in us. It means a lot to me that people are still interested in knowing the stories and hearing the music and everything. So much appreciated.
It ain't no thing. Oh, it's just a hole in a ring. No, it ain't no thing. It's just a hole in a ring.
Thanks so much to Cindy Alter for sharing some stories from her amazing journey here with me on the Straight to Video podcast. Like I mentioned earlier, it really is great to learn about all these fantastic people who I perhaps wouldn't have known about had it not been for this show, and it's thanks to all of you who enjoy listening that I'm able to do that, so thank you so much. Please visit cindyalter.com for more news and stories about Cindy, as there's a lot of great musical history to learn over there. And for all previous episodes of this show, please check out stvpod.com, where all episodes, music, videos and merch are available. That's all for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, please consider sharing it to any friends you know who might like to listen. But until we chat again, thanks for the support, guys, and speak soon.